Solving quadratic equations using the square root property. Solve the equation by the square root property. We have a quadratic, but we don't have an x term with 1 as the exponent. So, I can solve this by using the square root property. In order to do that, first subtract 6 from both sides. We're left with 2x squared equals 10 minus 6, which is 4. Next, divide by 2 to isolate the x squared term. I have x squared equals 4 divided by 2, which is 2. Lastly, I want to solve for x, so I'm going to take the square root of both sides to get the x variable by itself. Whenever you take the square root of a number, we need to place a plus minus sign next to the square root. So the square root of x squared is just x, and the square root of 2 is really plus or minus square root 2. So my answer is x equals positive square root 2 and negative square root 2. Solve the equation by the square root property. X minus 9 squared equals 16. I need to get rid of the exponent of 2. To do this, take the square root of both sides. Remember, when taking the square root of a number, put a plus minus sign next to the square root bar. The square root of x minus 9 squared is just the x minus 9 because we got rid of the exponent 2 by taking the square root, and that equals plus or minus the square root of 16. Next, we can add 9 to both sides to isolate the x term. So I get x equals 9 plus or minus the square root of 16. Now I need to simplify my answer. The square root of 16 is the same as the square root of 4 times 4. The square root searches for pairs of 2 of a kind, and the 2 of a kind becomes a single digit. So the square root of 16 is just 4. I'll rewrite this as x equals 9 plus or minus 4. Now the plus or minus tells me that there's 2 operations, which also tells me that there's 2 solutions. So I'll set up these 2 solutions. The first one is 9 plus 4, and the second one is 9 minus 4. So x equals 9 plus 4 reduces to x equals 13. X equals 9 minus 4 equals 5. So x equals 5. And these are the 2 solutions to my problem.